Hello, my name is Éric Grenier. I'm the writer at TheWrit.ca, and I've actually been in online content creation for quite a long time, and a lot longer than I even realized before it was a thing. I started as a freelance writer a long time ago, and I started a website, 308.com, back in 2008. And that was really just my way of writing about politics, writing about polls, things that I found interesting, but it wasn't really a way to make any money. Freelance writing is, of course, something that is a bit of a challenge. But after a few years of kind of plugging away at it, I was able to start writing regularly for the Globe and Mail and some other media outlets and make a little bit of a living, start a little bit of a career. And in 2014, I was able to get a job with the CBC as their polls analyst, a role that I had for 7 years. Now, this was a great opportunity. It was a real job with paid vacation, benefits, all these things that I didn't have when I was a freelancer. And I learned a lot and I worked with some great colleagues. But I think like a lot of people, the pandemic had me rethinking some of my, what I wanted from my work-life balance, what I wanted to do, and what I wanted to get from both work, but also the time that was my own. So earlier this year in June, I decided to leave the CBC and go back to being an independent writer, starting TheWrit.ca. This is a website dedicated to elections in Canada, provincial, federal, by-elections, election history, polls, the kinds of stuff that I find most interesting and really where I got started when I entered into this industry. Now, the platform that I use at TheWrit.ca is Substack. Substack is a bit of a newer platform in Canada in particular. This is a model that uses a subscription service, so you can subscribe to a newsletter like mine, and if you are a paid subscriber, you can get exclusive content. You can get access to all of the content. As a free subscriber, you can also get access to some content. And what happens with a platform like Substack is that when people sign up and someone like me writes something, it goes into a person's inbox. So it's a way for a writer to have a bit more of a reliable stream of income. If you have subscribers that are willing to pay every month, pay every year, as if it is a magazine or a newspaper. And it's also a way to have a different kind of relationship with your audience. Because one of the things that I've noticed is the biggest change since my transition from the CBC is that when I was writing for the CBC, I was trying to reach the broadest audience possible, trying to make sure that I was reaching everybody that I could. But now it's more of a niche audience. I'm trying to write for a specific audience that wants specific content and is maybe just as much of a geek as I am when it comes to political history and elections in Canada. So it's a very different kind of platform to use. But as I've discovered now that I'm more into this world of content creations, that you have to be everywhere. I was on Twitter before, I had a little bit of a following, but it's very important now in politics and journalism to be on a platform like Twitter, and you can use it to maintain that audience relationship, which I think is really important. For example, I use Twitter to reach out for asking for questions for my podcast, another medium that you have to be on. You have a different way to reach people, want to consume different kinds of content. It's a way to get some advertising, perhaps trying to diversify your income streams. It's also actually a good networking tool. You have somebody on your podcast and suddenly you have a good contact. Going into YouTube, trying to repurpose some of the content you have, another way to reach your audience, another way to have that, that direct relationship, having live streams. Maybe monetizing it. The thing is that you need to have all of these different platforms to reach your audience in as many different ways as possible and to have as many possible income streams, because in Canada, it is a little bit of a challenge. And this is one of the things that I'm interested in discussing is what is the content creation world universe like if you're trying to actually produce content that is specifically for Canadians. It's one thing to be a Canadian producing content for everybody around the world, but if you're trying to create something that is for Canadians, can it be done? We're a small market, 38 million people. If you're writing in English, it's only 30 million people. So I think that this is one of the challenges here, especially in the world of journalism. Substack is something that is new to Canada in some ways. We've seen in the United States, there have been some pretty high profile journalists that have made a good living off of it, but can it be done in Canada? Is our market large enough? Is it a solution for local journalism? Can it be something that can help journalists make a living in a different way if they don't want to go through some of the major gatekeepers? So I think this is one of the biggest questions that I have when it comes to Canadian content creation from a writer, from a journalist perspective. And I'm looking forward to hearing what everybody has to say tonight. Thanks so much.